Welcome to Hamim Loyal. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Today we are back, Twin Peaks Part 16. After this, there's only 2 episodes left.
This is what they call the Sweet 16, right?
I mean, it is literally no knock, nor no doorbell. The end of the run has come to say hi, and it didn't even bother knocking. This came out, Dan, on August 27, 2017. I have 2 things to talk about before we begin, but do you gotta throw anything out there for the people? Any red meat for your fans?
No, I have no red meat for my fans.
Okay.
Cut all that. What the hell?
Well, I don't even know what that means.
I mean,
Okay.
No, I don't know either. It's just caught me off guard.
Okay, well, that's going to stay. All right, so what do we got? Oh, I wanted to mention this because it was posted on our Patreon a while ago, and I had meant to highlight it so I could put the link in the show notes, but Hazel, who is a member of our Black Lodge, but had posted this really cool article from lateralthinkingtechnology.wordpress.com, this blog post about Cooper, and the official title is, "Who do you think that is there? Twin Peaks and Mahayana Buddhism, or the perfect wisdom of Special Agent Dale Cooper?" It's very cool. It's about approaching Cooper with the mind of enlightenment that is guiding him, but also, kind of where he fails and as stuff that we're getting into now with the return. Really cool article. I just want to mention it. Thank you for posting it, and also to share it with the wider audience. And the second thing is Mr. Clem Fandango, a.k.a. Luke P., rightly corrected me on something. So a couple of episodes ago, and then I repeated it last 2 episodes. The way that we have a 2-week delay, and it's killed me. So for most of the return, we were operating on a 1-week delay in which we would record an episode. I'd edit it up until Thursday. We'd release it. We'd do the other one. And right now we're 2 ahead, but it doesn't matter because I'm still struggling to get the episode. So, all right, we're going to get through this, Dan. We're going to get through this. I had made a mention of Justin Theroux at the screening of Mulholland Drive talk about how he would read a poem that David Lynch wrote. I'm
going to wrap this up by reading something that David used to request that I read prior to screenings. This was a little poem that I believe that he wrote, that he would say, "Read it and then get off the stage." So this is from David. "We are like the spider. We weave our life and move along it."
2 weeks ago, for part 14, I had said, we live inside a dream. It was from something that he wrote from the poem. It's actually from the Upanishads, which I should have known because it's all over one of my favorite books, Catching the Big Fish. The way I said it, because that's how Justin Theroux presented it, is as if David Lynch wrote it. But that's not the case. And I don't know Mr. Lynch, but I think he would be happy that I would correct that.
Yet again, another example of Eric throwing Justin Theroux under the bus, as you always do.
I like Justin Theroux.
I know.
I would never throw him under the bus. That's it. So anyway, thank you for pointing that out, and thank me for correcting.
Thank you for correcting you.
All right, let's get into it. This is a big one. This is part 16. So much stuff's happening. I'm already looking at these notes and so many notes. So unless you have anything, Dan, let's get in the car and let's drive down a dark, winding road.
sat on my sofa. Started talking. I just wanted to hear everything about where he'd been, what he'd been doing. He only wanted to know about what'd been going on at the bureau. Felt like he was grilling me. But I told myself he's just excited to hear about bureau news. And then he leaned in. He leaned in to kiss me. It only happened once before. But as soon as his lips touched mine, something went wrong.
Okay, so we open up with a drive down a dark, winding road as Mr. C and Richard investigate one of two coordinate locations that Mr. C has. Meanwhile, Jerry Horn kills a man with his binoculars. Dan, very dark, ominous opening happening here.
I will again say, I try not to read your summaries. I make my own notes and then I just copy and paste in. I didn't know that's what that said until you just read it, and it makes me laugh.
Okay,
That's great.
now
Anyway.
This is actually an excellent way. This is what I say. We all make mistakes. We all screw up. It's how we deal with those mistakes. So I've got in here, Jerry Horn kills a man with his binoculars. That's a little bit something for people that have seen the show before, because that particular line or that the idea of that is going to be in another episode.
Okay.
That I'm so I'm not going to take credit as saying that I wrote it.
I see.
So
Okay.
it ties right back into the whole Depanashan's debacle, and I will not go through that hell again, Dan.
Okay, I won't force you to, but it still made sense from the way this
funny.
scene ends, so it's perfect. Okay. First of all, it absolutely reminds me of Mr. C and that fucker Ray after they left the prison. So I'm already worried. Not that I care so much about either Ray or Richard Horn's well-being, but already I'm worried for him. We got them going off the highway, dirt road, don't know where they're heading to. Great location, man. This kind of, we get to look at everything up from the rise even before Jerry comes into the picture, but again, to see the surroundings in this darkness. Again, I love, ever since you mentioned in part 8 how Lynch was really looking for that inky darkness from his childhood, I kind of see that in all these scenes now. He's just really keeping the blacks down.
Yeah, and if you revisit Lynch films, it's everywhere. Like Blue Velvet has incredibly dark scenes. Like Lost Highway, one of the best moments in Lost Highway is like when he goes into that closet and it's like walking into pitch black. It's wonderful.
It's really effective here. So the two of them get out of the truck finally. Most awkward car ride must have been. Mr. C asking Richard, "Do you understand the place?" I don't understand how to make sense of that phrasing at all. We're going to the place. Do you understand the place? And neither does Richard. It's like the place. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got no idea what his dad's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. Dad's on a different track here. So 3 people are given coordinates to match, and this is the place. Richard's a bright boy. Of course, you're going to go to that place. Mr. C's a brighter boy, and he's going to send Richard ahead instead.
Yeah.
Woof.
It's almost like he's saying, like, do you understand the place? Like, almost like, do you understand that you could die?
Oh, you think that's what he's saying?
Yeah, I mean, what other reading could you have from it? Like, do you understand the weight of what I'm doing? Because this is so happy. that we can finally say that it's his son. I feel like it's so obvious that it's his son. Once he calls Sylvia grandmother and you know all about the stuff. I don't know. You were revisiting this for the first time in a
Yeah.
number of years. Was it a surprise to you at this point? Because I all but said it.
I had recalled it whenever I didn't recall it from the beginning, but I did recall once we first get the first clue of hearing that Cooper had gone into Audrey's room when she was in a coma. So to me, I was like, "Oh, that's right. That's where this is all going."
Yeah, that's how I remember. I would be curious to know for listeners that are watching this for the first time. Sometimes I'm a little overly protective of spoilers because I don't want to ruin even a hint of the mystery, even an ounce. So I was not saying it, but even when I watched it the first time, it feels like it's clearly his son in all these ways. But we did not say that, so I was just
Right.
wondering how people took to it. But yeah, we can say it now.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's great too, because then you can kind of keep watching it from there and see how it all lines up. Like, oh boy, this makes so much sense.
Yeah, I would just
It's
constantly be
terrific.
saying she also had sex on the plane with John Justice Wheeler.
Yeah,
I guess
you
it
did really
could
try to.
have turned out
Could have
that way,
been
I
it.
guess.
Who knows? I would never have called in a million years that Richard's granduncle Jerry was going to show up in this scene. We've just seen Jerry running over hill and vale, and finally he shows up again in the right place at the right time to see this happening. And I don't know. How long has Jerry been in the woods and roaming around? I know this isn't the most important thing in the world, but he's still messed up, man.
At least a few days. At
Is
least
it
a
the-
few days. Yeah, and plus we have time things to talk about, like when scenes are overlapping and whether we're going days in the past and days in the future or whatever. But it's a few days. It's a while.
Few days. I'm just imagining he's been out there a few days and he gets hungry and forgets that he has space cakes and just keeps eating them. That's the only way I can imagine he keeps going.
I think he's just terribly lost trying to find his way home. That's the way I take it. That not necessarily out there on his own, like he's just lost.
Yeah.
But you could read it anyway.
I'd like all of it. And they're not mutually exclusive. The bit with binoculars is fantastic. Jerry flipping around the wrong way and seeing them smaller. Dear God, as he sees them in the distance. Does he actually think that they're small? I don't know what's happening.
I think he does. He 100% does.
They're all ants. I don't know what he thinks is happening. It's great. And we get this is the scene where it is made explicit that he's his father. Mr. C saying, "I'm 25 years your senior," is great. So you get up there, kid. Get up onto the rock. His demise is literally spectacular. What a spectacle! This is a beautiful effect of the sparklers kind of in his body.
It's like fireworks.
As he's disintegrating. But then also the reverse shot of his shadow over the drifting smoke from it. God, that's beautiful. Just the light and dark of that is absolutely gorgeous to have captured. I really love it. The way that it kind of warps and twists his shadow. You see Mr. C in the truck in the distance is beautiful. And then ending with just his head laying on the ground and puffing into sparkles. It's great. And Mr. C just saying, "Oh," is such a good reaction to all of that. It's really fantastic. So we get all that. We get Jerry with the binoculars, calling them bad binoculars, which is why I thought that what you wrote made sense even without the context of what's coming.
Yeah, because I think he feels responsible.
And yeah, banging them on the ground is really funny. And then finally at the end we get this text message to unknown with the emojicon of the smiley face saying all. Yeah, so that was really an incredible scene. Just not a whole lot of dialogue, but so much happens here. And again, just seeing Jerry to witness his grandnephew's demise was crazy.
Oh yeah, lot to talk about here. Well, one thing just to talk about this shot, like the head-on two people in the car driving, is such like a Lynch trope that you see so many times. Like you see that in Dune. It's in Blue Velvet. Wild at Heart makes great use of that. It's in Lost Highway. It's in Straight Story. It's in Mulholland Drive. Literally, Mulholland Drive has a scene where they're shooting a scene like this. I mean, the only films that I can't think of this scene appearing in are Elephant Man, Eraserhead, and Inland Empire. The music is so spooky and moody. It's Mr. Dean Hurley again, this night electricity theme. It's wonderful. And what transpires in this thing you start asking questions. And you start to piece together, like, what is happening. So he says, 3 people have given me the coordinates.
Right.
Ray.
Yep.
Philip Jeffries.
Yep.
Who is the third? The third is Diane. I will explain that in greater detail later. But yeah, we see her send him coordinates. That's later in this episode.
Okay, not to jump ahead, but now I'm really interested because I want to know how that connects. So, are you talking? We don't just spoil it, but this is what you were talking about before, the timing of these scenes.
Kind of. Right. So
Okay.
you see him literally send a text at the end of this on
Yeah.
an iPhone. It's worth keeping that in mind that it's on an iPhone. And he does the emoji, whatever, the happy face, all.
Yeah.
And he sends that message at 2:05 a.m., but it's not delivered.
Right.
So you see it says not delivered.
Yep.
So we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I want to talk about because we're going to get to it later.
Yep.
So the Richard being his son, like, again, I all but said that it was son, but now we can finally crack the top off this fizzy drink and just go to town. A little Coca-Cola. But if you remember, like, all the way back, I talked about Sonny Jim. Dougie Jones was made from Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
So from his golden orb seed.
Mm-hmm.
That was the light half of Cooper that created that was still present in Dougie Jones, even though Dougie Jones was doing these terrible things. And a piece of Diane, as I've stated, and I'll talk more about in this episode, which, by the way, our part 14 dropped today. I heard from a lot of people about how I said Janie E was a tulpa. I got a couple of comments. People messed like, what? Really? But yes, I'll go into more of that. So a piece of Diane was used to make Janie E, and a piece of Cooper soul was used to make Dougie Jones. And the two of them together have this kid, this child of light. And here with Richard, we have the opposite. We have a different union. The seed is coming from the darkness of Mr. C, of his doppelganger, with Audrey as his mom, and they create this child of darkness. And you think about, like, how terrible to know that Mr. C was seen leaving Audrey's room when she was in a coma.
Right.
And then you think about, not to give too much to Richard because he's a terrible person, but to know that Richard, like, sought out his dad, that he would have saw Audrey's photo, and here Mr. C literally uses him to find a landmine and then says goodbye. And we're going to get another goodbye happening with a little bit later. But the bigger thing is there's also the other situation, which is this bigger plan. So Mr. C has been fed bad coordinates.
Right.
This was a trap.
Yep.
In an attempt to kill him. So the fucker Ray said he was getting the coordinates from Hastings' secretary. But I said that probably wasn't true, that he was lying, because we know Hastings did not have the coordinates. Ruth Davenport had the coordinates. They were written on her arm. So he was lying about that. He was working with Jeffries, and they both fed him the same bad location. So we're getting more details, but we know there is a secret plan at work. And perhaps there are more than one plans as well happening simultaneously that we're seeing. But clearly this was an attempt to kill Mr. C that did not work.
Just dropped a lot of stuff there, so I'm processing as you're talking about. You've talked about this before. Like you mentioned in 2 episodes ago, your idea that Janie E is a tulpa that was created as part of Diane. So I can see that 2 tulpas making Sonny Jim.
2 Chalfants, yeah.
You know how often I say that now because of you saying it all the time? I can't. So the 2 tulpas making Sonny Jim and the kind of dreamlike world that Janie E inhabits, and the Cooper Dougie, making all the things, all my dreams are coming true. That makes a lot of sense, and I see where you're coming from. Very cool, especially when we see where we're going. Although now I'm confused by it the more I think about it. But then on the other side, the darker side of the ledger that you're talking about, sure, the Richard coming from the darkness that is the doppelganger, but Audrey herself is not. But the I think the activity
The
of
activity is it's a violence, right? You can start to question Audrey as well. There is evidence that you could suggest that even Audrey is a tulpa or
right.
there's something else at play. I'm not saying that, but yeah, I think it's more about the violence, and it's more about the fact that you have these soul seeds, and me being mankind or humanity is made of these dark and light pieces.
Absolutely.
And when they were split and made, the light side ended up in Dougie, and the dark side ended up, or I'm sorry, the light side ended up in Sonny Jim, and the dark side ended up in Richard from those 2 points. The Janie E being the light side of Diane doesn't have necessarily the same counterbalance to Audrey,
Right.
but it is it's a family line of terrible men as well. It's certainly the gene pool that had some of the worst of the Horn family. Not that she had those traits, but
Sure.
it was mostly about the act of violence and all of that stuff. But we'll get into Audrey later.
Yeah, I know the mechanics of it is not all that important. It's the idea and the sentiment and the context behind it is the part that's really interesting. But 2 tulpas making Sonny Jim and 1 doppelganger, because he's not a doppelganger tulpa. He is the actual doppelganger, and the violence creating Richard Horn are very interesting counterbalances to each other. I like the idea. Okay.
Yeah, we'll explore it a lot more when we get to the scene in the future with Diane, because a lot of it is in speaking in metaphor and not necessarily so specific and like this is happening because of this, but it's also like, well,
Right.
I'll save it.
I mean, that's the thing I keep coming back, because I keep trying to make it literal when it doesn't have to be. But okay, yeah, let's come back to it.
But it could be, yeah, okay. So Chantel and Hutch stake out Dougie's house, hoping to catch him when he comes home. But they're not the only ones looking for Dougie, Dan. The FBI arrives and then leaves, but then leaves behind 2 agents.
Yeah. Anytime we get to see Chantal and Hutch, almost for the last time in this scene, Chantal, we find out, is incredibly thrifty. It looks like she bought and ate an entire Costco, like it's a huge container of those little individual snack packs, and has gone through them all. I love that we see them, one on the dashboard and the ones behind her, and she's just finished them as she goes. I think she didn't even finish the ones on the dashboard until the next scene, but it's just funny to see how much she's eating there. The relationship between, I don't remember the character's name, but the head of the FBI field office in Las Vegas.
Oh, we got the shiny suit. He's such a shiny suit, man. Headley is his name. Headley, how he's just so mean to Wilson. It's just so over the top that it's really funny. And just to see Wilson just being like resigned to it. Like, how'd you figure that one out? Sherlock is just so mean. Like, Wilson, get on it. The thing I just told you 2 seconds ago, why haven't you done? Anyway, just setting up the scene of the 2 of them staking it out. They have this nice interaction where she's sitting back, Chantal's sitting back in the chair inside the van and eating the Cheetos, kicks up her foot, and Hutch kind of puts his arm over her foot, and they're kind of just hanging out there. And that scene exactly repeats again, that part of it, the next time we see them. So it's just kind of cool to see this set up before what happens later. What else is going on here? No, I mean, I don't have many notes here other than I like that he asked, did you hear the bird this morning? And she says, sure as shit did, which, makes me think, listen to the sounds. Where we're from, birds sing a pretty song, and there's always music in the air. In the sound mix, you can hear all these different kinds of birds singing and chirping and stuff, so it's kind of neat. All right, so let's jump over to the hospital where poor Dougie, we saw what happened in part 15 when he put that fork, the wrong end of the fork into the socket. He's not looking good. Dougie's friends and family hope for the best as his mishap with that electrical outlet has trapped him in a coma. The Mitchum brothers bring food and offer to stock the Jones fridge.
Dougie in the coma. He does it. Bradley says this later. He's still looking good. He still looks pretty good. We got them all laid out there. Sonny Jim asking, does a coma have something to do with electricity? Is great. No, it doesn't. Well, actually, in this case, it kind of does. And Janie's like, yeah, I guess. So it's funny. And to have that repeated by Bradley at the end. What was that? Like electricity? Fantastic. I like the Mitchum brothers come in with like the largest, gaudiest flower arrangement possible.
They're very generous, these Mitchum brothers.
Super generous. I don't know, to me, feels very Las Vegas and very over the top, but it's probably the most expensive one. And it's just so gross and tacky. It's terrific. And Janie is just absolutely like still in this dream world of these guys are like, give me your house keys. These guys that she doesn't know from anyone other than she must suspect that they're, they own a casino. They're maybe not the best guys in the world.
Right. But they did buy her a car and they did buy the gym set.
And now they are these people that she can just trust to be like, okay, here's my house keys, take whatever you need or, whatever they could. But no, of course, they have hearts of gold and they're there to stock her house, which is fantastic. Again, we get to repeat it. Every kid should have a gym set, huh? Bradley and Sonny Jim, that interaction is really cute. But they're bringing in the trays of food. They say it's not for them, but we've seen this before. These things happen, which is just like one of the most mobster lines ever. Accidents happen. I'm wondering like how many men have they put into comas in the past?
Right.
But now, with Cooper, Dougie in their life and everyone kind of being better for it, we definitely see their better sides here. But
I read always too many things, too much into things, or exactly the right amount of things into things. But when he says that, like, we've seen this before, it makes me think of Candy, Mandy, and Sandy as being trapped in time and like just becoming awake. I talked about that before with the cars.
It's incredible. There were cars everywhere.
And when you think of like the Lucy and applying the same thing to Lucy, where she's only exists when you look at her, and that's why they're sort of trapped out of time and so sort of out of it. Like he's seen this before because we're talking about a coma.
But when people go into a coma, they can stay there for years.
2 episodes ago, you made a comment about the fog over the trees of Twin Peaks and how that's a version layer.
Yeah.
Or it's an inversion layer, but we call back to Candy's line about a version layer.
Oh, that we're in the version layer? That it's going to be hot and smoggy tomorrow. And I told him that we are so lucky to have air conditioning cooling our casino.
You think about Lucy and you think about Candy, and when Candy talks about we're in a version layer, she talks about, aren't I glad I have air conditioning? And when you think about Lucy, she's adjusting the thermostat.
Well, it has to do with the thermostat. It doesn't actually tell you what's going on when no one's here. Mostly we don't have prisoners, but even if we did, they couldn't even see the thermostat. So I had a man out here recently to look at the furnace, and Sheriff Truman, he wouldn't answer any of my questions about what happens when no one's here.
So like they're both doing similar things, both in essentially version layers or inversion layers, and coma and existing and not, being frozen in time. And there's just something that jumped out at me when he says we've seen this before because they're around it.
Yeah, I mean, Candy continues to baffle me throughout every time she's on screen because I later when we see her in the limo, we'll talk about it more. But just the I want to get to the bottom of what's really happening there. But tying all of these things together, like you just did, is a nice way of seeing that. But what else do you see in this scene?
Well, first off, poor Janie E. She looks perfectly. Naomi Watts is doing the perfect hospital exhaustion everything. Like when you open that scene and she's just sitting there, and if you've been in the hospital with a loved one for many hours, you have this look, and the look is there. Like you can just feel it coming off of her. It's so wonderful. Going back to that same line I just highlighted in terms of Candy, you have to think about what a loaded line when people go into coma, they can stay there for years. When we think about Audrey, as well as
true.
Lucy, especially towards the end of this. And when we think about the show and how these characters are asleep and waking up. The Mitchum brothers are the best. I wish they were real so bad, and that there was like some world where there was like a battle of the network stars for charity event where you could have the Mitchum brothers facing against the Horn brothers in like a 3-legged race or something.
Scott Baio from Happy Days. I love you.
Charlene Tilton from Dallas, Gil Gerard, Dukes of Hazzard's Catherine Bach, Larry Wilcox. That's Incredibles' Kathy Lee Crosby. Be with your favorite stars and join in the cheering for Battle of the Network Stars next on ABC.
Finger sandwiches, of course, we're always talking about fingers and ring fingers and stuff like that. So great line about when they're like, you don't want to eat this food.
You don't want to eat hospital food.
It's like a callback to me of episode 8.
Hospitals are dangerous places. First of all, they're crawling with sick people. And second of all, that food can kill you.
Bushnell is also really, really great in this scene and how he's sort of looking out for Janie E. and Sonny Jim and everything. And it's a very neat scene. And the idea of electricity, that could electricity have all led to this? And it's also completely loaded. And we talk about the place above the convenience store as this junction box with these power lines going into the woods and going to these portals and going into Dougie. And yes, electricity did lead to all this. And speaking of leading to things, we're going to lead our way to the Mayfair Hotel. Gordon Cole listens to the sounds while at the hospital. Sonny Jim has to use a little boy's room. And Bushnell gets a call from Phil about the FBI.
Back in the Mayfair Hotel, in the FBI's kind of makeshift office here, and just the number of monitoring machines. You mentioned this in a previous episode as well, the amount that they have there.
Yeah, and phones.
You mentioned the phones. I was thinking about the screens, and we just get a lot of them in this scene, especially. I don't know what to make of Gordon Cole in this episode. So I'm interested to see if you have anything specific that you would want to share. But he just does a lot of patient listening and observation in a way that makes me feel like something else is going on behind his eyes. I don't have this full theory, and I don't want to imply that this is what's going on necessarily, but it really makes me feel like this duality of Gordon Cole, the character, and David Lynch, the director. And it's as though he can see or is directing what's going on. Later when we see before Diane even comes to the door, he says, "Come in, Diane." It's like he knows the cues. He knows the things that are going on. He's sitting here in this FBI office listening to these beeps, as though he's actually in the hospital room listening to Dougie. And in the sound mix, the beeps that are happening in the hospital room are being heard here. So this bleeding over, crossing over, I'm not sure what to make of it. Maybe I'm just like off of my own little world of what's going on.
Right. It's not far from what I've been saying. Like, so I say run with it.
So as you've been saying, of like characters breaking out of the world or feeling the boundaries of this world that they're in and potentially moving out of them, I'm wondering from your point of view if you see that in Gordon, or if I'm taking what you've been saying and kind of extrapolating to a point that you think is like, wait a minute, maybe not. Not that you would say yes or no to a theory, but like I'm curious to see yours.
Yes. When I see this scene, Gordon Cole is hearing the surveillance machinery and the FBI is picking up Cooper coming into existence. Like Cooper is now waking up and it's coming there. And Lynch is also kind of reacting to that in a way. The part that's in him is also waking up and to an extent. So I think it is such an important moment when Cooper wakes up in so many kind of interesting ways about this is the story we've been forcing on you when the real story is actually happening over here. And we're going to start paying attention to this while missing out on that.
Right.
All of that stuff is boiling up. And so I take it, yes, he hears the hospital stuff in that room. And that's why you see him acting the way that he does. And it's also neat because they show the equipment. And it's that same window, I think, as the window washer that we had seen before. It was like that same window that had been washed, I believe. As it gets closer, also for Cooper to wake, Sonny Jim has to pee, which reminds me, of course, of Dougie's first pee. Were we ever so young when Dougie was just learning to pee to where we are now? It feels like 1,000 years ago. I love that we get Phil in the scene, even if it's just his voice, because he's such a neat character. I like that actor a lot. And, the FBI also looking for Dougie. That's what's coming through the phone. So it's all like, it's like really turning the stew and it's all the water's starting to boil and you can see all the bubbles. So let's deal with the Joneses again, because we're going to go Oh, no, do you have anything on the hospital? I just went over the hospital. It's a short thing.
The only thing I was going to say, yeah, the conversation between Bushnell and Phil is great. I like the amount of repetition Bushnell. Every time Phil says something, he repeats it back, and just like the confusion that's building as he's doing this, I think kind of plays into the idea that you're saying, like, things are coming to a head. And the world that Bushnell is in is very confusing. But I do like the funny line of, what's he done now? He's in a coma. Which is just a nice little sting at the end of this. But no, we can move on.
All right, so let's go back to the Jones home. The Mitchum brothers now arrive, joining the FBI and Hutch and Chantel at the scene. It's getting very crowded. A Polish accountant needs the van moved. So that's a new player has entered. The new challenger approaches.
Wow. Yeah. I'm surprised that Chantal and Hutch don't, clock it or at least mention like the FBI SUV pulling up about 50 feet in front of them.
Yeah, they were told to stay out of view, but they're kind of close.
They're really close.
Like right there.
It was a different, like, they left in sedans and came back in a black SUV, but like a black SUV, like they saw the FBI there. Just the fact that Chantal and Hutch don't say anything is strange. Though, they got distracted by the limousine pulling up and then a grocery delivery truck full of food and the ladies carrying the trays in and everything. So I forgive them for being a little preoccupied as they're trying to look for their target. Before that does happen, though, we get the little thing about Sam. You know that guy, Sam? He died. I owed him money. And just, I love the reaction when Chantal asks, do you feel bad about that? And he's like, the handshake that he gives is so great. Tim Roth, man, he's such a great guy.
Okay, interject, just because it's a silly thing. Is it Sam Colby?
Damn. Tracy, I'm sorry, but no one can come in here.
Right, so Sam Colby was the guy that was paid to watch the box. So is it
Get
possible
out.
that the mysterious billionaire was Mr. C, who had hired Hutch?
Of course it is.
To pay him to watch the box, but then he was killed. That's why he still owed him money. So
of course it is.
It's a Sammy that we,
duh.
There's no definite connection, but when you hear Sammy, I was thinking Sam Colby.
When you have Sam and Mr. C and all that connected, yeah, that totally makes sense. That's great. Okay, missed that entirely. We find that I guess we're told that their target looks exactly like Mr. C, because he's like, that's not Dougie. He doesn't look anything like our boss. Craziness with this accountant driving up, and in the from Zawaski Accounting Incorporated pulls up. They weren't blocking the driveway, dude. They weren't blocking the driveway. They were totally fine. They got a whole lot of other stuff going on, but that was not part of it. So this guy, I gotta say, was a little over the top. The way that it escalated was bananas. I love it because you see how agitated Chantal was getting before this. He asked if she was on the rag. What if I was? So just the tension they already have is building and building and building. This guy is the spark that set it off. So when she just pulls up the gun, he comes back with his own gun because, of course, then it escalates to shotguns. Then it escalates to an Uzi. Then they're trying to push the cars and everything. It's crazy. But the FBI is just sitting there. They just choose to watch the whole thing. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten out of the car either to stop what was going on.
They do eventually engage, but yes, they do sort of sit and watch for a little bit.
Once it's clearly over, they do. But I guess that's not their job to stop crime. It's to get the criminals. And you get the whole thing with Bradley and Rodney, talking about what's going on here. What kind of neighborhood is this?
The fuck kind of neighborhood is this?
People are under a lot of stress, Bradley.
Just seeing poor Chantal first get winged, and then we see that, from behind that she's shot, and she's just slumped over the steering wheel, and just the amount of time it takes, the number of bullets it takes to kill Hutch is really gratuitous, and it must be, it's drawing attention to itself by how much violence there is there, the way that everything escalates to this point of just almost absurdity, that he's still hanging on until the accountant runs out of ammo in his clip. It is just crazy. But yeah, I don't know. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, well, I love the line, he's like, are you on the rag? And she's like, and what if I fucking was? It's a great line from Chantal. But also her line, it's like a fucking circus parade when all Candy, Mandy, and Sandy come out.
It's like a fucking circus parade.
A circus parade.
But it is like a circus parade. It's like this is 3 stories colliding. You have like the FBI story, you have this 1950s mob movie, and then you have this 90s indie noir that are all like these 3 very different genres of stories all colliding in this little violent shootout. It's very much also, it reminds me of like True Romance, which also starred Tom Sizemore, that scene when you have multiple, which is, I think, it was taken probably from some Hong Kong action movie or something, but where you have like the police and then the drug dealer security, and then you also have the main. Anyway, there's a great shootout, like really well put together, pretty intense, like them getting shot, the way the van just rolls off. It's awesome. But I want to talk about the Polish accountant, because way back when we did our part 6 show, I talked about a listener who had contacted us over Instagram. His name was Smartphone Goth. Smartphone Goth, I hope you're still listening, because it took me this long to finally read what you wrote. So he said, the clues Gordon and company are going through, in my mind, lead to the accountant that kills Hutch and Chantel. Now, to refresh your memory, this was in response to us trying to figure out what the congressman's dilemma case was, in which they had a photo of a swimsuit model, they had pliers, they had models, a little boy, and they had a semi-automatic with a silencer, which he has, and there was a can of beans, which, you know, a bean counter, like an accountant. And that's what he goes on to say. Why? Because he's a bean counter. It makes sense to me. Loving the pod is how he ended it. But also the Fusco brothers also talked about pliers.
Remember the Australian guy with the pliers?
Maybe he's a hitman as well, who's known as the accountant. He tortures people with pliers. So he's done stuff in Vegas, which would explain the Fusco brothers. He's got the silence thing, and then it's also a bean counter because he's known as the accountant or whatever. So anyway, I love that guy brought it up then, and I just couldn't say anything until we actually got to the scene now. So I thought that was very cool.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to go. You said was that part?
We talked about it in part 6. It is in part 3, I want to say. It's the first time you see the Gordon Cole. So Gordon Cole's first appearance. But I have the list of what it is. It's like a photo of a swimsuit model. Don't know how that connects. It was the pair of pliers. It was another 2 pinup things. There was like a little boy picture. Then there was a semi-automatic with a silencer. And then there was a jar of what I thought was lentils, but it could be beans, in which case, like he's saying, bean counter. All right, friends, so we're about halfway through the show, and I think now is the time, and the season is just right, to laugh all day and read the Black Lodge supporters who are helping us out, supporting the show, and making every day better than the last. Dan, why don't you start us off, and I'll do the back half.
First of all, I didn't know that the Black Lodge was in Mount Airy Lodge in the Poconos, but that makes a lot of sense now that you say it. All right, folks, join me in the Poconos with Chuck Suffle, Gregory Flanagan, Don Adamo, Banjo Track, Eric Knopp, Charlie Tapper, Jake Jagello, Matthew Fuller, David Melito, Daryl Deason, Dana Gould, Jeff, Henrique, Eric, I'm winded. Can you take over?
Absolutely. Let's thank concluding remarks. Brian Johnson, Meerkats, Raga Raven, Evan Fitz, Hazel Haywood, Ivan, William Schaefer, Jordan Carver, Matt W., Nick Webb, Kaylin Best Lawrence, he who is Clem Fandango, a.k.a. Luke P., Arthur Hill, Eva, Ben Chisholm, Neil McKenzie, David Titterington, and Ethan Berry. Thank you, every one of you, for supporting the show and keeping the lights on. So, Dan, let's get back to the show that we're doing right now. All right, so Cooper wakes. I feel like that could be just the whole thing. Mike brings him up to speed, gives him the ring, and Cooper gives him something in return. Bushnell, Janie Yee, and the Mitchum brothers all fall in line as Dougie takes control.
Man, I don't know if anyone was waiting for this. Who really cares? Cooper wakes up, everybody. The first thing, hearing that sound again that we've talked about so many times, the sound in the Great Northern, sounds to me like a Tibetan singing bowl. Love that, hearing that again. Bushnell, just like in the Great Northern, can't quite place where it is, wandering out to the hall and leaves. So the scene is set for Mike to appear. And again, it's this such a weird choice. I love it. It's just not an obvious choice, which is terrific. That the angle that we're going to look at Mike is down through the chair. Like we saw that in Dougie's bedroom the first time we see Mike in that room. It's like at an unusual, unexpected angle for, I don't know, to me it just strikes me as funny and odd, and it's great.
Yeah, it's often down. It's often like a down angle that we see these weird things.
And Mike's looking up at him. You're finally awake. Fantastic. Boy, howdy is he. He's awake and immediately on his game. I mean, he just woke up from a great nap. He's so rested. Mike hands the ring to Cooper. I love that the transparency, the opacity of Mike becomes solid for a moment as Cooper's able to take the ring. And in the background, we hear the like pling ting sound of the ring hitting the floor, like we heard whenever Ray went into the lodge.
Take this.
So this is where we get a little of the mechanics of how things work. We get Cooper asking Mike, "Do you have the seed?" So we got the little nub seed, and Cooper yanking out the hair from his scalp to give to Mike so he can make another one. And Mike's got it. I know what you mean. First of all, can you yank hair out of your head?
If I had to make a tulpa, I probably could. I think if I had to, I wouldn't want to. It must have hurt, but sure, yeah.
It didn't show in his face though. He's a strong guy. I don't know.
No,
It's just like,
he is the FBI.
damn, it's just a thing that you just see in the movies. But anyway, Bushnell comes back. He's awake. Give me those sandwiches. I'm starving. I just love that. I just love that immediately. He's just like, I gotta eat something. He's been asleep for so long. The whole thing of Cooper saying, he's pulling off all the medical devices. Are you sure that's a good idea? Yes, I'm sure it's a good idea. The doctor saying, I guess it's a good idea. It's really terrific.
Yeah, great stats.
All of this. Of course, he's perfect now. But just Cooper immediately being the most Cooper possible all at once. So I think this may be what you were going to get at, and I'd love to hear more of your thoughts about this. But it is almost a complete wish fulfillment for the fans to see like the most possible Cooper scene ever. He's just so in charge. We haven't seen him like this at all. Obviously, like even in the first couple episodes when we see Cooper, he's not in his element and everything going on around him is so strange and unusual. Here, he is the heightened version of himself. It's just so they're packing a ton in here to show like how awake and ready he is to go. Noticing the gun under Bushnell's shoulder, he's like expecting the FBI to show up. Basically, when he says they're on their way, he's like, good. He was kind of hoping for that, I guess. He remembers everything that happened when he was not awake. He remembers all the things that happened, all the people. He had a message ready for Gordon Cole, expecting him to call. Like, just all the things, he's just, I'm ready to go. I'm the most Cooper I could possibly be. Bushnell calling them Brad and Rod, I think is a nice touch.
Yeah. Well, he's got them on speed dial already. Like, he saved their number.
It was just so cute. Like, Brad and Rod, no one else called them. They even call each other Bradley and Rodney, but he calls them Brad and Rod. It's just, it's adorable. I got the personal number.
But then he gets them wrong, right? He misnames them when he first calls. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from just a hello. People get us mixed up, Eric, too. They've heard us for 100 hours so far or whatever. I love, of course, when Falling starts playing. Man, God, I mean, it is just this complete like fan wish fulfillment that we've been waiting for however it's 16 minus 3, whatever. So we got 13 episodes of waiting for Cooper to show up is incredible. Let's get the plane gassed up. Mandy and Sandy look excited to go on the plane ride while Candy still looks lost or whatever. The two of them react, but Candy is just still in this haze of whatever she's still in her version layer, I guess, of whatever's going on. But then to end the whole scene, the button on the end of the scene is Cooper saying, I am the FBI is fantastic. Also, I forgot to mention Sonny Jim saying, Dad sure does talk a lot is a really funny moment. But otherwise, this just felt like cram all the Cooper that we've been missing into about 2 minutes. What do you think?
Sonny Jim has got some good observations
he
on his
does.
dad in this episode. He sure can drive, huh, Ma?
And
Yeah, it's
boy,
just-
well, wait, but yeah.
even though it feels like it took so long to get Cooper back, there really is a full-length feature film movie ahead of us. I mean, we're halfway through episode 16. We still have 2.5 more hours to go. So yeah, but they really, even Mike says,
You are awake.
100%.
Finally.
"You are awake, finally," as if because all this tension and all this buildup, and yes, the music, it's the most nostalgic the show has been, other than Bobby crying. It sure brings back some memories at the picture of Laura Palmer. Again, it's another moment where the music really gets loud and very, to me, obvious. For this is what you want. Here we're going, and we're gonna get that 2 of this in this episode. We're gonna get that again, very heavy at the end. Bushnell hears the chimes, as you said, and it draws him out. And to me, the chimes, it's the sound of the other world communicating into our world. We've talked about it multiple times when you hear it in the Great Northern and Ben looks, or when Pete's talking to the wood, because it's Josie's. And in this case, it's Mike talking. So when you hear that sound, it is some other character from this world talking, communicating with you, drawing you in. That's why Cooper hears it when he goes into the Red Room in his dream. The seed thing is great because they also use some kind of DNA system to, when you're manufacturing your tulpa, you just need a little bit of hair, but it also feels like folklore, like like a witch would do. Like you would take a little bit of your hair and then you do a little magic. It's a very magic feeling thing, which I really, really like. He says, "I need you to make another one." He wants a tulpa. We'll see why later, I suppose, or we hope. Janie E. Again, Naomi Watts does a really good job of doing a lot of acting with her face, that she can tell that she could lose him, that he's changed. She already knows that he's not. It's going to become obvious, and she's going to verbalize it. But you can see here the fear that she's going to lose this man that she's now, her whole life, she's so happy to have him. So that's just a great performance.
Yeah, I think even more so that he's changed her life for the better, and all of her dreams are coming true because of that. I wonder how much too, because she's also been, or not, she's also been in control, but she's had control. Things are not chaotic. I would imagine Dougie disappearing for days and gambling, and she has all this insecurity.
Oh, yeah.
It is
Yeah.
that, like, I'm actually the one taking care of him. I'm guiding him to where he needs to go. And that our relationship as dynamic has changed, and all of the things I want now are becoming true because of that. So exactly what you're saying. I think there's that added dimension on top of, like, but things were stable and going so well, it's going to be chaos again.
Yep. Right. Yes. Yeah. I don't see it as much as the word control, or like that, but like I'm going to lose the guy that I love, kind of thing. Like he's going to leave me. And maybe even a part of her subconsciously knows it's not the same guy. Like this is not the same guy that woke up, and it's going to take another scene or whatever for her to be like, you're not Dougie, which is great. Love the little soul BB, the little golden BB that we talked about. Cooper, again, to your point, like all business, getting up, this is all what's happened. It feels like maybe there's a bigger plan at play, that he is aware of where things are supposed to be. Oh, the FBI's coming. Of course, this is all happening. He is not, he is in control, and he is already on a plan, like already 3 steps ahead, maybe running a little behind schedule, but he knows where he wants to go. There's no questioning where things are. He's going places, and he's telling people what to do. And I just got to highlight, like, Kyle MacLachlan, 4 different characters that are so completely unique. When you think about Dougie, the original Dougie, then you think about Cooper Dougie, then you think about Mr. C, and here's Cooper. And it's the same actor. One piece of art, and it's 4 uniquely individual performances. It's just really, really good. Got to talk about the doctor.
Oh, whoa. What do you think you're doing?
I no longer need this IV. Doctor, will you confirm that my vitals are A-OK? I'm leaving.
You don't see the doctor for long, but she is played by Belina Martina Logan, who we called Louis Budway, the desk clerk from the Great Northern.
Mr. Horn.
Walk and talk.
Okay, so this friend of mine works for the Seattle Post-Dispatch.
Right.
Actually, my sister went to college with her, but she's kind of a friend of mine, too. Anyway, she told me this morning the hot tip, top secret. M.T. Wentz is coming to Twin Peaks.
M.T.
So if you remember our favorite desk clerk at the Great Northern, she played the doctor. So it was great seeing her again in this, just very briefly. But yeah, that was the actress.
I wanted to be canon that it is the same character too. Being
Sure.
basic.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? That could have worked out. When they call the Bushnells, when Bushnell calls the Mitchum brothers on speed dial, I love the shot of the Mitchum brothers. So you got Rod in the foreground, and this beauty. He's talking to them on this beautiful rotary phone, and it is like they are in the 50s. I already talked about the thing with Candy and the AC and Lucy and the thermostat, and it's as if they're in the past. This is literally this past that we're talking to. And we're in the present and we're in the future, and like all these things are happening simultaneously. But he's on a freaking rotary phone. He's not on not a touch tone phone. It's an old school rotary phone. It's really cool. In the midground, wonderful shot of Bradley. It's a great reflection of him in the I think it's must be like a wine fridge or something that's in the kitchen. You can see him reflected in that. And then the background, like brightly lit by this open window, is Candy, Mandy, and Sandy. I love those 3 actresses. I love Candy. I could watch a whole movie with Candy. I don't know what that movie would be, but it's great. She's great in every scene that she's in. Gonna gas up the jet. It's the best dialogue as well that's going, and the music is swelling, and he's going, "What do you need?" "Okay, we're gonna gas up the jet." And then all of a sudden, he's calling in the thing for the jet as well when Rod's taking the call, and God damn it, it's so. These 2 brothers are great, and how they're working, and everyone is just basically doing what they're told. No one's even asking any questions. It's all good. And then Cooper telling Bushnell, "You're a fine man. I will not forget your kindness or decency," is such a great thing. And of course, I am the FBI. I don't care who you are. You hear that line.
What about the FBI?
I am the FBI.
You want to be standing up and doing clapping, and it feels like that gif of from Citizen Kane. It's wonderful. Speaking of wonderful, Cooper's going to leave the hospital with Dougie's family. He just misses the FBI, and on the road, Cooper's going to show him how well he drives.
Yeah, I think it was a beautiful shot of them pulling out of the circle in front of the hospital as the police, the FBI, pull in around the other side. But it made me think what you were saying before of multiple plans going on. This might be a reach, but like it feels like he's being directed or has read the script or he knows. Like he tells Janie pull the car around, and the timing is 10 minutes just so that he can pull out just at the exact same time. He doesn't pull out 30 seconds ahead. He doesn't pull out 30 seconds late. Everything is like this clockwork that's happening. So he's either part of a plan or knows the plan that's going on. But I love how that's actually going with this precision. And you see that in that moment of them on the opposite sides of the circle as they come in. I just think it's a beautiful shot and a way to frame all of that together.
Yeah, I think it's walking away from this. I think you definitely can have confidence in that there is a plan that he's following of some kind. And he seems to know where to go and what to do, or like what's next. He knows what's supposed to happen next.
Then we get off onto the highway. It gets to really open up that BMW. We get Sonny Jim saying how great Dad can drive, which is very cool. And then Janie's reaction just reminds me of her in the kitchen when she first kind of really looks at Dougie and gets that turned on face. She's like, "Yeah, I don't know." It's just it's really funny to see her there with that look on her face, because before that, like you had said, she has that look of maybe a little bit of like fear or confusion or what's going to happen, uncertainty. And she asks about you're not going to start gambling again, are you? Like, I think that's a moment of that, because she has that fear of like, is her dream going to end? Are things going to revert back? Or is he a completely different person now? So he asks, like, how do I get to the casino? She's like, oh, no, this again. So she just doesn't really know which direction things are going to go. But you're right. She definitely knows things are not going to be the same as they were when she was having one dream after another being realized here.
This is basically me whenever we drive locally, my wife drives, and it is very much like Dougie Jones in the passenger seat. And then, opening the door or whatever, like that, thinking about that image of where we've come. And then if we have to do like a long drive to like Virginia or whatever, it's like, move over, I'll drive. And that's basically how it goes. It's exactly like that, except for the part where Sonny Jim is like, Dad sure can drive, and everyone's happy. It's the opposite of that. That's never happened. That's never happened. You never get a dad can drive really good. Yeah, it's not in the cards for this guy. Okay, so let's go to the Mayfair Hotel bar, where Diane gets Mr. C's text and has a memory. She pays a visit to Gordon, Albert, and Tammy and tells them about the night Cooper visited her and makes a fateful move. A lot to talk about here.
I'm gonna go through my part quickly because I want to hear how all these pieces come together. So we got Diane looking at the text here. It looks to be the same. It's the same smile emoji with the colon space dash space parenthesis, all in capital letters, period. But the timestamp is 1644, so 4:44. I guess her time. I guess that's how that works. But so that was 1 minute ago because their clock says 1645. Anyway, that's what happened. The music has been playing as this excitement starts with falling, and then all this excited music as we're going to the casino, everyone's happy, and then as soon as she sees that, the music completely stops. We get that deep, guttural, like, warning tone that's in the background. The sound completely changes, and Diane's reaction obviously goes with that as well. So everything comes to a screeching halt here. It's beautiful the way that's just, we completely hit a wall emotionally here. It really feels like at this point we understand later that she's kind of been activated or something, like a sleeper cell.
Yeah,
we get more of that.
It's like a kill code.
Yeah. And I wonder if the all is like all of your memories are activated, or your whatever. Well, I guess we'll talk about what that you think that means. But to me, it's like all of your memories are revealed. So throughout all of this, Diane's face, the way that she feels like she's completely like fighting something that's going on that becomes more obvious later. And then Diane plugging in the coordinates.
I hope this works.
So is she fighting something? Like, for me, I'm just trying to figure out, like, she's being activated, but at the same time, is she trying to do something? Whose plan is she acting on? Is all these questions.
It's something to think about.
I don't have answers to, so I can't wait to see what's going to happen here. But then the whole Chekhov's gun of Diane opening her purse, and you see the American Spirits, and you see the revolver on top, is just great. That tension that Lynch can play with through the rest of the scene. Before we get to that, obviously I want to hear what you think about this part, but that tension that he plays with throughout the rest of this, and Gordon Cole's face, as we've said before, it feels like he knows what's going on. So he's like waiting for this to happen. It's beautiful just to set that here and just let it go for the next 5 minutes of that tension when she's going to pull it out. It's beautiful. It's expert. I'll go up until we get to the hotel room. We get to hear the American Woman David Lynch remix again that first time we saw.
Yeah, the Muddy Magnolias at half speed.
Yep, got to see Cooper, Mr. C, the very first time. So that coming in here is awesome. Diane going up in that elevator. It's this wood-paneled elevator that has a very deep red tone to it. So it really feels like the red room curtains behind her, which is foreshadowing what we're going to see later. But I love that kind of setting that up for us in the beginning. And the time that it takes to get down the hallway to get over to the FBI makeshift office in the hotel.
That sequence of her walking down that hallway, the shots of her walking down the hallway is so great, and the perfect music.
And it goes on for like a minute, and it's just, it's mesmerizing the whole time. It's beautiful. You know, you think about like how long it takes her to walk down the hallway. It's probably about the same amount of time we saw the sweeping scene in the over at the Roadhouse. Those two different ways to hold someone's attention, and the tension that's building is really cool here. But then ending this part of this with her at the doorway, hasn't even come in yet. No knock. Gordon says, "Come in, Diane," is fantastic. But give me something that you were hinting about before. If this is now the time to do it, unless you want to keep going with the rest.
You could keep. Well, I'll add some things to the beginning, so we don't have to go back to this. So, yes, she gets that thing, happy face all. To me, that's a trigger activation word that she's now forced into this thing. When she does send him the coordinates, she's on an iPhone. The phone she is talking to at that moment is an Android phone. When Cooper sends his message to her, kill all, he is on an iPhone. So this kill all message, he sent it more than once. This is at least 2 times that he sent this kill all message, because when he says,
3 people have given me coordinates to that place. 2 of the coordinates match.
at some point while he's driving with Richard, he sends text to Diane. She puts in the coordinates, and then he sends that message in the iPhone. That arrives while she's in the room. Then when she looks at the phone, it says kill all. You don't see her reply there. You don't see the coordinates reply there. And then she does what she does. She's always on the same phone. He's always on an Android phone, except for this one part where you see him on an iPhone. So I'm going to take that as a sign to me to say this is happening in a different order.
What we're going to need to do is play this back again so I can put together the timeline as well, because the way you're describing it in the moment makes a lot of sense. Now I need to go back and create a diagram so I can follow it too. I'll have everyone there pull out a new sheet in your pages of your notebook.
Okay, well, fine. So here's I'll give you the entire text chain.
Okay.
In part 9, Mr. C sends his first text to Diane. Around the dinner table, the conversation is lively.
Yeah.
In part 10, we know that she replied with, quote, they have Hastings. He's going to take them to the site. In part 12, Diane gets a message, Las Vegas, ? That time is 7:28 p.m. Mountain Time, I guess. She writes back, they haven't asked yet. Part 15, we see Mr. C send that message, Las Vegas, which we see after the fact. We see, they've already sort of mixed up time. So we had theorized, okay, this event took place before that event. Fine. Seemingly sending Diane a message she already got that we already saw. In part 16, we see him talk to Richard, tell Richard, I've already got the coordinates from 3 people, send this all, happy face all message undelivered.
Yeah.
We see Diane sitting there with a message that says whatever all. She puts in the coordinates. She hits send. She goes into the room. She checks her phone. It says the same thing, but her reply is not visible and the time is different. So I think it's logical to say that he sent that more than once. So he sent it, gets the coordinates back. So it's like you get that thing the first time and you're sort of primed. And when she gets that last one, it's, she has to go all the way. So that's all the texts that were sent.
I wanted you to do exactly that walkthrough. Also, this is going to be clipped because that's great. I like the walking through of all this together. I really like this.
Is that interesting? Part. Yeah. I mean, somebody maybe.
I like it. No, I think it's super interesting. We talked about these things like for the way, and this is totally fine. Like you were saying before, we're not going to get answers. So the answers you make are the ones that matter, I think. But at the same time, there's also serendipity and there are kind of no accidents, because if they're accidents, they end up being part of the show. The creation of Bob, all of this. So the fact that the timestamps and not seeing the message, everything being kind of weird and out of order in and of itself feels like something worthwhile thinking through. I just haven't had the time to actually think through it. So it's super interesting to me to get that lay of the land that you just gave. So now I have like a landmarks I can work from and try to think through the rest of it.
The way Diane suddenly remembers is also very much like the way Gordon suddenly remembered the dream. She's something that Cooper had told her.
Coop.
And we're seeing Cooper wake up, and we're seeing Cooper doing a bunch of things like he's got something going on, and she's thinking this thing that, oh, I remember now what Cooper told me. And that's when she sends him the coordinates. And she says, I hope this works. And then you watch Diane like steel herself up like that. Visually, you can just see that in her performance is great. We already talked about the great scene of her walk up. So we can just go right into the room with the come in Diane. And again, as you said, he knows she doesn't knock. There's no knock, which is part of the story she's going to tell. And the storyteller already knows that. Like he's already aware of that this is going to be a story about not knocking.
The storyteller inside her own story.
Yeah,
that's great.
And I didn't even mention that before. When Cooper wakes up, literally Cooper is waking up. We're talking about dreamers living inside their own dream. And here we have a character that's told that is waking up.
Yep.
That was conscious and acting. But now, if you remember that quote, or I dropped it in the thing. I don't know if you listened to the last episode of David Lynch when he talks about we're all living inside of a dream.
And one day we wake up and realize that it was a dream, and we realize who we truly are.
And one day we'll wake up and we'll realize who we really are. And that's what you're watching having happen right now. It's a guy waking up and becoming himself. It's a dreamer waking up inside his own dream. The sleeper must awaken, Dan. Let's go in that room.
Well, and in this case, Diane is realizing who she is, what she is, that she's not herself. So she is waking up from this dream, fake life that she's been living as well. I don't know how to even break into this. The story that she tells, and everyone's watched this, so going through this rope by beat by beat isn't the important thing. Just calling a couple things, the kiss that had happened once before, and the way that she plays this scene of almost acting it out to herself. She has her eyes closed and uses her hand touching her lips. It is so beautifully done. And up until that moment of what she talks about, as soon as his lips touched mine, she felt something was wrong. And the way that she, all of this changes on her face here too. She's reliving this entire thing. So this dreamer, this person telling the story inside the story at the same time, acting it out, is made very visually represented here as well.
Yeah, and those are two really important details. The kiss that happened before, so we kind of hinted maybe they had a relationship going before, but clearly they had a relationship going before the bad Cooper came. So it's a pre-existing thing that we never heard about in the original series, but we're going to go with it, and it was there. And that she knew at the moment that they kissed that something was wrong. Write that in your diary.
Yeah, and because she says, he saw the fear in me, Bob as well, living on the fear. The fear is what he wants, the fear and, pain and suffering. He smiled, and his face, makes me think of, Cooper looking into the mirror and, oh, good, you're still with me, talking to Bob. That coming out there.
Yeah. Doc Hayward mentioned the same thing. I saw his face when he came out of intensive care.
So to be right there, that close to him, that intimate with him, and Bob's right there at the same time, which is, something that Laura's had to deal with. But now we're getting this again in the story. And that's when it started. Then afterward, he took me somewhere, took me to an old gas station. The way that she's repeating this, an old gas station, and an old gas station, the way she's trying to recollect it, or it's like you're saying she's remembering these things, and it's kind of coming to her maybe in real time as she's both fighting the things that she's supposed to be doing and trying to tell the story of what had happened. I'm in the sheriff's station. I set up those coordinates. It's great. But then this end, all throughout here, like I mentioned before, we got the Chekhov's gun in her purse. So she keeps reaching in, pulling out the cigarettes. Gordon Cole's looking at her and watching her while Tammy and Albert are listening to the story and, doing the detective work, listening to this, putting things together. He's watching her at every movement as though he's waiting for that moment to happen. At least that's how I read that. So that's great. That tension finally gets released here when she's just breaking down and says, I'm not me. I'm not me. God, it's so good. And then finally pulls out the gun, gets shot, and then gets ripped out of the scene. Like we saw Laura in the same effect. As Laura getting pulled out, the visual effect.
Right. And the same story as the first Blue Rose case.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we didn't see that. I'm just saying the visual representation of it being the same effect is really cool. And then Tammy's reaction of, wow, it's real. She was a tulpa is great, pretty great. Eric, put some pieces together.
Well, I just want to, now we know this Diane is a tulpa. So the way I see the story going is, I think Mr. C, he shows up. He asks his questions. He does what he does with Diane. He takes her to the place above the convenience store, and he makes 2 tulpas out of her. Janie E., who he wants to put with Dougie and to take care of him until the time comes when Dougie is there for Mr. C's purpose. And then he makes a second tulpa, Diane, who will be his mole in the FBI. Now, Janie E. is all of the good parts of Diane, but also the fantasy parts of Diane. She in her head, she's the one who fell in love with Cooper because they had a pre-existing relationship, who's Dougie in this world. They make love, they have a beautiful kid. Diane is the opposite. Diane is the trauma and the terrible realism. She's sexually assaulted. She's forced to sort of bear all of those horrible memories. That's why they're half sisters. That's why she's their half sister, because the 2 halves together make Diane. Janie E., again, the fantasy. It's the world of everything that you think you want, right? It's like the man you love, Cooper, the child, the new car, the nice house, the nurturing side, but it's a fantasy. The entire Jones family is a fantasy. And for me, like, it works so much better. The whole thing is the American dream, this tulpa that we all have about what the American life is, what the perfect family is, where you're going to find your happiness is if you get a new BMW or your kid gets a gym set. And it's this fantasy falsehood. And then in reality, it's Diane that we're seeing here that's dealing with all this misery, the alcohol.
And you just that fantasy makes me think of the first time we see them at Rancho Rosa, the billboard of that really cardboard cutout, literally almost family there. They are the representation of that thing. I think it's a really great way to read this together.
You have this fake neighborhood that's so great, but we see the neighborhood that the darker side of Dougie, and it's abandoned, and it's been exploited by corporations and banks and everything else. So, to me, she is a tulpa, just as this Diane is a tulpa. They are 2 halves of the same, literally 2 birds, 1 stone is Diane. And so then you have to start thinking about where Diane is, or what's going on with Diane. So it's great. I mean, I don't know, that to me it rings true.
Yeah, I think all of that really makes sense. I like that. The thing that really grounds it for me is the half sister line. The splitting in 2. Otherwise, it still works to me. It could still work for Janie E. to be us in the American dream, but what she's surrounded by is this fantasy that can't be attained, is not real. She'd fake Dougie, her son then not being completely real. All the things that are happening around her are not in her control and are these magical things, either horrible with Dougie, or then suddenly she has no agency to become better when Cooper is there. So it works in that way, but I like what you're saying better. I like the combination.
Yeah, to me that take, and maybe that's the right take, but to me that take is much sadder in a way that hurts me, that we have this character and the story that they have and the happiness and the joy that we have that is actually just completely a lie, because it's a normal woman with a robot, and she's got a son, and the son's half not real and half real, or whatever. And to me, it makes so much more sense that this wonderful person of Diane was split into, this wonderful person of Cooper was split into. And so that's sort of what we got going on. And we talk about the text, right? So you get that kill text, right? And to me, it's undelivered. The timestamp, I do not want to go by timestamps because they don't make any sense, because this one says 350. Which is before the other things that we had just seen just downstairs.
Unless time is going backwards. We didn't account for the fact that time's going backwards.
Sure, maybe time's going backwards. Maybe it's a loop or whatever. Or maybe, who knows, he keeps stealing these cell phones. So we don't know what, they're bouncing between Mexico as
That's
well.
true.
So you can't, remember Albert told us that so let's just go with what feels right.
I will say the only supporting evidence we have that time is going backwards is the very end, Audrey's song playing backwards too. So who knows? Anything's possible.
Yeah, we'll get to that bit, I guess. Love Diane as well. Laura Dern's performance, man, when she's talking about being at the sheriff's station.
At a sheriff's station. I sent him those coordinates. My sheriff's station. Because I'm not me. I'm not me. I'm not me.
When she's talking about, I'm in the sheriff's station, and I was talking before about when she's talking about her experience with when she thinks it's Cooper and she's reliving it. When she's talking about I'm in the sheriff's station, it looks to me like she's seeing that moment. She's, God, let me break some news. She's an incredible actress, but it really looks like to me in that moment, this Diane is seeing that memory for real. It's just so vivid on her face. I don't know, this being pulled into and like realizing that she's not real and having these memories that are coming out is beautiful on her face.
Sure. Yes, she's in multiple places at the same time, whether it's different time or different locations at once. It's great. Okay, so when she says, I'm not me, you immediately think of Audrey saying almost the exact same thing to Charlie.
I feel like I'm somewhere else. Have you ever had that feeling, Charlie?
No.
Like I'm somewhere else and like I'm somebody else. Have you ever felt that?
No. I always feel like myself. And it may not always be the best feeling.
Well, I'm not sure who I am, but I'm not me.
And you start to wonder, like, could Audrey be a Tulpa? Or could something be more at work with Audrey? Gordon comments when he does say sheriff station. He's also been calling the sheriff station and talk, so he know when you hear sheriff station, he knows we're connecting to Twin Peaks. But I don't know what your thoughts on Audrey being a Tulpa are. It's not for me, I don't think, but that's what I think of when she was just like Audrey's lines. All right, so we're going to jump over to the lodge now, where Diane is going to meet Mike, disintegrate, and is once again another soul seed. You got to get one of those big, like gumball machines of soul seeds, and just soul seed sounds like a terrible.
It was a '90s band, right?
That's Soul Asylum, but soul seed sounds like it's like the Lightning Seeds and Soul Asylum. I think maybe you're combining. But the soul seeds was like, they would do like Rusted Root covers, or I don't know.
I feel like Blind Melon. They went on tour with Blind Melon or something.
Yeah, they were like on the second stage of Lollapalooza, and when it was starting to really fall off. We're playing the parking lot. Welcome to Soul Seed. That's like some guy just playing the flute.
All right, we're in the lodge. First thing we get is that guitar twang. I love that sting.
Yeah, it's
God,
great
it's so good. It's almost a comical sound, and it just the mood that it gives me is wonderful. But Diane's sitting there in the chair. What an image. It's wonderful. And we get Mike telling her the same thing he told Dougie, someone manufactured you. But he gets a very different response from Diane.
I know. Fuck you.
And that's her last line as this Tulpa Diane is perfect. It's just so cool. And then the way that Laura Dern does the whole like cracking her jaw and moving it around, and then that turns into the actual special effect that happens around her. But just doing that physicality is really cool. I love the glitchiness of the effects too.
It's wonderful. It's like ripping paper. It's like wind through paper, I think of.
The quality of the effects makes me think of something like a Tim and Eric, where it is intentionally somewhat glitchy it off in a way that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. They do it for comedy. Here, it makes me feel unnerved. It's a different kind of thing, but it gives me that sort of sense.
I love it. I think it's really good. Like to me, it's almost like it's going that's already two-dimensional, but it feels like it is. That I mentioned paper. It really does feel like, well, you see ripping paper the way it ripped, but it's like living artwork more than a film, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And ripping the paper, tearing a page, absolutely makes sense here. You get the smoke coming out.
Like mixed media kind of it has a texture to it. Yeah.
That sort of style of collage artist makes me think of like Dave McKean or something like that. But that's my only real reference to that sort of thing.
Yeah. No. Definitely. And Lynch's artwork is like that too. So it makes a lot of sense. Obviously,
it's really cool. And we get the black smoke coming out. We get the big gold orb. The only thing we don't get in this case that we did with Dougie is we don't get the big meat monster thing coming out of her. I don't know what to make of it, because that, to me, when we saw it with Dougie, it was like the gold orb and that thing. They go off screen together, and in my head they like collided, and that was made the seed. But in this case, there wasn't that inside her. I don't know what to make of that.
I saw that part as more as killing the corruption that was in it to reveal the seed versus making it. And I wonder if it's because she found herself in a way that Dougie never did. And that's why someone manufactured you. I know, fuck you. Like she's already
let that go.
Gotten rid of her own
That's great.
thing go. So maybe she was reborn in a way.
Right. It was less about how she was made, but instead how she resolved it herself first. That's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, I think that's all. So we get that new soul seed.
So we're going to jump over to the casino. Cooper's going to say goodbye to Janie E. and Sonny Jim, but he promises to return.
Yep. So they all get to Silver Mustang
Casino, right?
I just like that he has a private moment with his family in the middle of the casino floor at the slot machines, which, obviously is the same place where Dougie started making all the dreams come true for JDE when he's Mr. Jackpots. But like right there, it's a really
true. Yeah, I didn't realize
great
that.
place for that to come full circle for them. But we really this is to me like one of those moments again. We got previously the scene with Cooper was maximum Cooper all at once. Here, this is, to me, not played for melodrama, but it is the most sort of soap opera-y sort of moment that I've seen in this part, because we get the music really swelling. We get these camera angles. It feels, not to say it's not true, because everything feels very true here. The performances are wonderful. But to me, it feels like a callback to the original series and the kind of tropes that it was using of soap opera there. So I just get that feeling, and I really like it. The saying that I am your dad and that I love this time spending with you, like I said, it feels absolutely true, even though he says that, basically hints like he's not coming back. Dougie is going to come. But that doesn't mean that none of this doesn't diminish anything that had happened between them, that he really is Sonny Jim's father, and as you're saying, in a real way, like if he's that reflection of him through the soul seed, through Dougie, then he really is his father. But yeah, we just have this moment. So, and also when Janie E at the beginning asked Dougie, where are we going, and the Mitchell brothers kind of look like, you haven't told her?
Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad when she realizes she's not being included, which is her fear that I mentioned before in the hospital, that he's going to leave, and then it's happening. And where are you guys going? It's like going out to a party, and everyone's going to a second party, and you're not joining them, and you just watch her face and him taking her over to the side. I love this scene so much.
Go ahead. I have nothing else.
And Cooper saying we're family in a show that I've talked about at length about family, and here's this family and him taking them together. Janie E. Watching Janie E. realize that he's not Dougie. And that scene of Sonny Jim yelling, "You're my dad.
You're my dad. You're my dad."
I'm your dad, Sonny Jim.
Is so much Donna in episode 29 crying to her father, Will.
You're my daddy. You're my daddy. You're my daddy.
It's like the same kind of thing happening here. Compare this goodbye to Mr. C saying goodbye to Richard.
Goodbye, my son.
We have two scenes in which fathers say goodbye to their sons, and they couldn't be farther apart, which is just very striking. And what a difference it makes between Cooper and Mr. C. When he promises to walk through that red door again, you mentioned, Dougie, a tulpa, because we saw him manufacturing the tulpa. You hope that he's going to make good on that promise, that someone will walk through that red door again. And I love the talk about the red door. And the music is beautiful. It's at the chair. Angelo Badalamenti is playing, that we've heard many times. It's just such a beautiful piece of music. I love it. I take it completely directly and with no irony. I love this whole thing. And it's sad, though. It's very sad as well to watch her lose her husband in a way, and to know that it's no longer her husband, and for some of that world to shatter. But it's great when she pulls him back in and then they kiss, and that shot, the way they do that shot where you just kind of pull away from them, and as you're pulling away, the music is fading and they're fading into the background, and then the sound of slot machines just comes up. And you think about slot machines as this promise of this fantasy world that you're going to get, but you don't ever, most people never get it. You just go deeper and deeper. It's just a perfect location to have a scene like this and to watch that fall behind. So let's get in the limo, Dan. Let's get in that limo. We're going to ride to the airport. Cooper and the Mitchums are going to catch up on, hey, what have you been up to? What's your deal? And Cooper's going to welcome them to the good side.
Yeah. I like that Rodney's there trying to put the pieces together, but he can't. Cooper's not going to start. Also, Cooper with his big fancy glass of coffee that he's drinking. That's pretty. That's nice. But we can't get started until Bradley gets his Bloody Mary.
Sarah Palmer's drink of choice as well. How many Bloody Marys? It's Mother, Judy, that whole
It's
thing.
great.
But yeah, as they drink in the knowledge that they're getting. Yeah,
Judy is alcohol. So just Candy taking that time. Again, this slow motion dream sort of way that she acts, and Bradley's just like, come on, man, let's go. And it's not until he takes like about a good third of it down until we get into what's been going on. So you were an FBI agent, he was lost, blah, 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 and all this catching up is pretty great. We get the whole, this is where we're going, this is what we're going to do. But, one of the two says, we're not normally welcomed in these sorts of places. And Cooper's saying, I can testify basically that you are two guys with hearts of gold.
You guys have hearts of gold.
But the entire time they're retelling this entire story, he's recounting, this is what happened. Da, 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 da. Watching Candy in the foreground.
Mesmerizing.
It almost is though she does, but almost as though she doesn't blink through all of this. The last part of this, whenever it wraps up, she does for like a solid 30 seconds, does not blink. She's just staring off to the distance and kind of rubbing her shoulder absently and gone until he says that they have this heart of gold. And then her like giggling, joyful, like he really is, the tears in her eyes. It just makes you think she's got no place to go. I can't get rid of her. Like that sort of relationship that they have is the thing that she's thinking of and bubbling up. And like when she hurt Rodney of, can you ever forgive me sort of things, like all of this is just welling up in this moment. I can't make heads or tails of her, but I absolutely love her.
The whole time she is just rubbing her arm, and it's her left arm, the arm that goes numb in all of these people, that Teresa Banks. And I'm not saying that there's anything to that, but it is the left arm, but it's the entire time she's doing it. Like if you just watch her looking straight ahead, they're all doing stuff. So like maybe it's Mandy or Sandy. I get them mixed up. Is also, I think she's touching her hands or like rubbing her fingers. Like they're all doing something, and then the third one you don't get to see. But yeah, you're right. She's just with that arm, and you could just watch her the entire time. And as soon as Hearts of Gold comes up, it's like the light switch goes on, and she's like, "They do,
they really do."
Oh, it's wonderful.
That's great.
That's great. But yeah, it's the left arm, and the arms go numb. And I don't know.
Just putting it out there.
I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Roadhouse is proud to welcome Edward Louis Severson. Can climb to heaven on the cross. One last promise drained the blood from my heart. Came a message in the dark. Offered the hand of a disembodied man while I still had a chance, but now it's gone, gone. And I am who I am, who I was. I will never be again.
Edward Louis Severson III performs Audrey Dances at the Roadhouse and Wakes to a New Mystery.
Yeah. cool to see Eddie Vedder here. The song itself is pretty great. If like looking through the lyrics, again, you said like some of the songs were written for the show. I briefly read this one was another one of those cases where it's written for this. It's just great. This whole idea of a song about what might have been, a path's not taken, a running out of time. It's absolutely perfect for this moment, and such a great performance as well. So I loved to see this. Finally, we get Charlie and Audrey making it to the Roadhouse, ostensibly look for Billy, ordering the 2 martinis there. Yeah, here's to you. And then she says, here's to Billy. So the two of them still bickering up until this kind of final moment when the MC announces the next song is Audrey's Dance. And the look of it looks like to me Charlie's very confused about what's going on. And if I'm like thinking Charlie is maybe this person who is looking after or controlling or part of the delusion or whatever is happening with Audrey that I still can't put together in my mind yet. I can't connect all the pieces and form a coherent theory, but he felt like someone who is kind of controlling or guiding what's going on with Audrey, pulling her back into that habit of bickering when she's just about to wake up to where she is, that sort of thing. But here he just looks completely confused. And the entire audience of people moving to the side to clear the stage for her is great.
Yeah, the show literally parts and lets her in.
Everything just moves aside to become about her. And she also looks very confused and scared of what's going on until we get the vibraphone kicking in of those notes from Audrey's Dance. And then her eyes close and it's like she's under that spell, hypnotized and walking into the center and doing her dance. And it's great. You get the crowd swaying in unison, the background to it. Everything is just this moment of the universe or whatever this moment is all coming together around her, and she's the center of this attention. Or she controlling her, it's controlling. She's just all part of this until this moment of this guy. We see it. They draw attention to themselves. You see all the crowd kind of swaying together. There's this one couple that's kind of like talking to each other, and it could have been like, oh, there's just some extras. We should have cut around that because it's a little distracting. But it ends up being this guy and Monique, and we get this drunk. Hey, that's my wife.
Yeah, Monique's husband.
That's my wife, asshole. It's like reality intrudes here, or to me, it's like we've been talking about the Roadhouse. We keep getting all these characters referenced every time. New character, and you don't know anything except little bits and pieces there. And this is one more time of like, what the hell is this? Like, we're getting all the things we want. We got Cooper. We finally got Audrey in the Roadhouse. We got all these pieces of the Twin Peaks that we might have expected at the beginning. And then it comes back to this moment of like, what is going on? It breaks her out of this moment. And Audrey getting freaked out, and she's like running to Charlie, but for us, she's running to the camera and just off to the side of it. So it's really cool that she's running almost to us and grabs Charlie and says, ask for help, get me out of here. And then we get that complete switch out of nowhere. White room.
Yeah.
She's looking in a mirror, so she's asking herself, get me out of here. Her hair's all hacked off, so it looks like, I don't know, is she in an institution? Is she being held captive? Something. But in the background, all you hear is the electricity humming and buzzing in the background, like comes up and it's the only thing that you hear is this electricity. And then the whole thing ends with Audrey's Dance being played in reverse by that band on the stage. Small thing. I love how forwards or backwards, it is still unmistakably Audrey's Dance. It still feels like the exact same song. If you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't even know. Like it's so cool that it works in that way. Eric, help me make some sense of this because I didn't know that we don't see any more of Audrey, and you're just left from here to make up your own mind about what all this means. So you having sat with this for so long, I'd love to hear what you thought.
Yeah, and I hope that's not a spoiler for people that we're telling you that this is a lot, but I don't think it's a spoiler because I feel like we're saving you from going, when's Audrey?
Right.
And then if you have that in your head, it may ruin it. No. Well, first off, it's worth noting that Eddie Vedder is playing, but he's not playing as Eddie Vedder, which is his Tulpa name. He's playing as his real name, Edward Lewis. I'm going to get it wrong again. Severson?
Like a severed son.
Severson. Yes. He's playing as his real name in this fictional world. It's a real name in this fictional world. And in the real world, he plays under a fictional name. Do it that way you will. But as Audrey arrives, like this complete fantasy world, the show of Twin Peaks that has been trying to bring her in, that we've been basically The way that the audience parts is like us in all of our nostalgia need to go back and to make freaking Audrey dance. We're forcing it. We're like wedging Audrey into this world that, not that the world doesn't want her, but that we've moved past. And we have all of these songs, all these wonderful, beautiful songs from Harry Dean Stanton, from Carl Rodd when he was playing the song about this love that was going away, or we think about No Stars and the meaning of no stars. And then this freaking Eddie Vedder song is wonderful. And the lyrics, now it's gone, gone, and I am who I am. Who I was, I will never be again. And that is Audrey.
Yeah.
That is Audrey Horne dancing in the Roadhouse. That's all the stuff that Audrey was saying. The lyrics go on, like it's like, I stare at my reflection to the bone. Blurred eyes look back at me, and this ends with her staring at her own reflection and watching her reflection stare back at her. All the roads not taken, because we're trying to go back and we're trying to go to old ideas and nostalgia. That's the road behind. That's not the road forward. It doesn't mean you can't tell stories about old characters or different things, but if you're trying to do the same thing over and over again, if you want, oh my God, I can't wait for Cooper to have 2 cups of black coffee and for Audrey to tie this, like, you're not, that's the road. You want the road not taken. Otherwise you forsake the future. And it also says drop like a fossil or a stone. We talk about these stones and these souls, and it's gone, I am who I am. And what a great line. I have to say I love when the MC announces Audrey's dance.
Ladies and gentlemen, Audrey's dance.
This is what we demanded as an audience. Just like we demanded Cooper to come back. Finally, we said, what a bunch of assholes we were. We didn't realize that we were being handed this wonderful, beautiful world. It's a world full of truck drivers, and we were too stupid to look around and realize all of the new wonderful magic that we were presenting, because all we wanted was bring me back Cooper. Let's get Audrey dancing again. We nearly missed it all. I love the way the audience is shot swaying to the song. So obviously your focus is on Audrey and this great dance, but I don't know if it's me or just if they did something with the camera, but it's very distorted looking. The way the audience is going back and forth, it almost looks like it's not quite right, like it's askew. It's very uneasy. Like if you look at the background players, it makes me feel almost queasy, like it's not quite right, like they're going a little bit too far to the side. I think that maybe it's just an optical illusion in my own brain, but I love the way they're all going in unison to the music. It's very dreamy. But this fantasy world is instantly shattered.
Barney! That's my wife, asshole!
As it falls away to violence, as a man gets hit with a bottle. That man that gets hit with a bottle is Richard Butcher. He's a stunt man on the show. I like how Lynch will use a lot of these stunt people and then give them character, and then they're part of the show. I think that's great. And Monique's husband is Scott Cameron. He was the first assistant director on the original series and on The Return. So also people that have been working with 3 years, like, hey, you want to be in this scene? You're going to be in this scene, and now you're Monique's husband. Audrey, Sherilyn Fenn does a fantastic performance in this. Like, she rules the last shot. The way that she falls away to panic in this, when you realize that this freaking fantasy world, like we were talking about with Janie E and the American Dream and all, this is the idea of going back to Twin Peaks as a fantasy world. And when you watch that fall away.
Get me out of here! What?
And then the electricity of, like, getting pulled into whatever is the real world. To me, it always felt obvious that she's in a mental institution. The way that the kind of outfit that she's wearing and the just the lighting, everything's white, and it's a medical facility. And if you think about all of these weird stories about the Roadhouse that she was trying to go to, they're constantly talking about people being medicated. Like, there's all these stories of the Roadhouse, Billy and Tina, and they're all connected to references of being unwell in some fashion.
Angela's gonna go crazy. That's because you're hanging out at the nut house.
And she's off her meds now.
Just don't go in that nut place.
Fuck you, who said I would anyway? She won't be able to take it, I don't think.
Well, yeah. She's kind of on the edge.
Are you going to put your coat on or talk me to death right here on the threshold?
And as Audrey wakes up, too, and she looks at that circled mirror, it's not unlike the circled mirror Laura's looking at in Fire Walk With Me as well, when she's hanging over it in the train car. I'm not suggesting anything more than that, but it's an interesting callback to Laura.
It is so clearly to me, again, like you said, with the hacked off hair, the white, like a white padded room, and it feels like a mental institution. But the electricity as well just brings to mind like electroshock therapy, that sort of thing as well. It just implies that to me very strongly. So it just all feels together.
We don't know if she ever got out of the coma. And Janie in the same episode says people can be in comas for several years. Yeah. And when you think about Sylvia getting attacked, you think about all the conversations with Ben, Richard never had that father. No one ever mentions Audrey.
That's absolutely true. And in the coma scene, we're talking about the electricity. Is it about electricity? And you even mentioned being plugged in, all the electricity. Like, she did not wake up from the Roadhouse into this white room. She is still in the coma. She's woken up to another dream. She's still trapped, and is a way to see this as well. It is the electricity that's keeping her alive. She never woke up from it. I think that's that's very plausible.
Or literally that she is waking up in this other world. Or you had mentioned electric shock therapy could be like shocking her out of it or whatever. But whatever it is, like, she never comes up. There's never a conversation of like, take him to what? Have you contacted Audrey? Like, Richard's here again. Why don't you call your daughter and figure out what the hell's going on? They didn't even mention her, as if everyone knows she's, help. Now, we will do the final dossier. And I guess I have to say, there's stuff in the final dossier that I'm not necessarily taking into this world. There's certain things that I my own canon is doesn't always match up with all of the material. So I know there's we do hear more about Audrey in that book. But I am aware of that. But for me, I'm just sort of running on this thing. But yeah, that's all I have. It is a shocking ending. It's one of the best endings of like a show I've ever seen, because it's so well built up. And you're lulled into this sense of, oh my God, she's back and she's dancing, but it's not right.
Yeah.
The fact that the audience is split part, and that's what I mean, like with this swaying, it's not right. You know that what's happening is wrong, so you can enjoy it, but and then it just ratchets up, and then all of a sudden she's screaming, and you're in this world that you don't even know how to process. You don't, and you're not in it long enough to really. Your brain is just like, and then it's over. It's just wonderful.
The way that it is so disjointed, too. The music's playing continuously. Audrey's dance is playing in the background. But the shots we're seeing are cuts and cuts and cuts. And I think it feels like it almost cuts even faster as it goes. So it feels more disjointed. It's a great observation. God, it is a great ending.
Really good episode. So 2 more episodes. The penultimate, as people love to say, is next week. A lot of things get answered, a lot of, answered in quotes, but it all comes to a wonderful head, and then it goes out on a whole different world. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Oh man, everybody set aside a little extra time. If you think these last couple of episodes have gone long, I can only imagine what's going to be coming up for the next couple too. So thanks for sticking with us. Let us know what you think. Tell your friends, have the conversation about the show. I think that's where all the magic is. So hope you're enjoying that with us, and keep it going on the Patreon.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Until next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots. The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again, and in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.